Thank you for taking the time. It's always an honor to talk to you. So tell me, who are you and what do you do?
So Raamel Mitchell, I am the Global Director for the Black Partner Growth Initiative here at Microsoft. Our team focuses on building technology companies and helping them grow and build their practice. We have a great team across the company that focuses on this work, and we have leadership across all levels at the company. This is something that our C-suite believes in, that our board believes in terms of ensuring that we have not only just an amazing partner ecosystem, which we do, but we want to make sure that that partner ecosystem is diverse and inclusive. And so this particular program, or the Black Partner Growth Initiative, is absolutely part of that.
So what do you like to do?
I love doing what I'm doing. I love doing what I'm doing. I love reading. I love having these type of conversations. I love exploring, right? And so my job every day, I get an opportunity to explore and learn something new. And that's what I love. So let me net it out. What do I love? I love learning and doing interesting things.
What do you think about the metaverse, about marketing future? Where is that heading? What does that look like, especially for the Black Growth Initiative and the partner ecosystem?
I think the metaverse provides a really interesting opportunity for us to really think about a digital world in a way that we haven't thought about a digital world. From a marketing standpoint, what does it mean from that standpoint? Well, it means that we understand, or you can understand your customer and your customer's needs, wants in a way that maybe you haven't. You can provide experiences, perhaps from an accessibility standpoint, for those that might not have had the opportunity to have those experiences. It could also mean the ability to really globalize knowledge and experiences and information, even beyond what we've seen with the web, or Web 2.0, if you will, so that those experiences become immersive and at a certain point even potentially indistinguishable from your interaction. You also have to think about, what does this mean from a privacy standpoint? What does this mean from an ethical standpoint in terms of how this technology will be utilized in the future as well? So I think it provides rather a real opportunity for Microsoft partners, for startups that are out there, to really reimagine what the web, what our interaction, what our digital interaction, what our digital experiences, what our real experiences will be, and then how we can actually continue engaging in a way that's beneficial, whether it's for work or whether it's for fun or a learning experience. Yeah.
Beneficial and inclusive, and that's why the initiative that you're leading is important, because we can talk about diversity and inclusion all we want, but honestly, you have to make a concentrated effort, or else it doesn't happen organically. We as human beings, every human being on the planet goes to their comfort zone, right? We gravitate to people, environments, things that make us feel comfortable. But we've learned, HBR has done several studies, that really the growth, and not just personal growth, but the impact on the bottom line for the business, is when you have this diversity of thought, diversity of perspectives, diversity of backgrounds. But it starts with a concentrated effort of saying, we are going to have a diverse partner ecosystem. We are going to have a diverse initiative. And this ecosystem is going to feed into the metaverse. So kudos to you and your team for what you're doing.
Yeah, and your points there, around inclusion, are so important, right? And inclusion means a lot. Having the diverse perspective as you're building something net new is incredibly important. Ensuring that voices are at the table, regardless of age, regardless of cultural backgrounds, regardless of geography, making sure that you have representation as we're building something that could potentially transform the next 20, 30, 50 years of how we interact as human beings, right?
Leadership perspective, knowing what we just talked about, seeing where leadership is going. What do you think are the biggest attributes that we need to be cultivating or pushing from our teams as far as leadership to be able to prepare for the future?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones that's needed right now is ensuring that we're infusing empathy in our leadership, right? In our leadership styles, and not as a term, not just because you're going to an empathy class to understand how to be empathetic, and so now you're going to at a very superficial level ensure that you have an empathetic leadership model and style, but you really have to be authentic about it, and being authentic about it means in some cases thinking about, well, am I being vulnerable as a person, as a leader, where that makes sense, right? In a high pressure job or a high pressure position, and you have big demands on your time and on your team, and they're, the risks are big, and and you're really going for it. There is a tendency to hire people that are just like you. There's a tendency to listen to people that just have your voice, and to ensure that you have this homogeneous environment. What I would argue is that when you're leading with empathy and understanding of yourself, and understanding and the willingness to understand others, then what you're able to do is actually find your blind spots, right? As a leader, what you're able to do is build someone else in such a way that they can grow and develop and become stronger, and so that you have the strongest team. So what you need to do is actually build a great team. A great example of this is also, in the world of F1 racing, right? I'm a huge fan of Ferrari, and I'm a huge fan of Lewis Hamilton. I know from my F1 race, fans out there, they're going to be like, that's sacrilege. You can't say that. But if you look at the teams when they're out there on the track, you have each player knows what they're doing, but they have to work together. And the only way to do that is that you're listening to all voices, and all voices are equally heard, regardless of status, position, or time, or tenure. And so I think that's what leaders in the future have to do. They have to lead with empathy. They have to lead with identity. One of my good friends wrote a book on identity leadership. And if you don't know who you are, how can you lead others? So all of this is important. So I'm saying this not only as an individual, but also as an organization. If you don't know your brand, if you don't know what you mean, if you don't know what you stand for as a company, if you don't know your mission, if you don't know your vision, how can you be the industry leader in that market?
Seeing so many technological advancements just from your time at Microsoft, what do you think are the next steps, right? So we're talking about technology future. We've talked about the metaverse already. We talked about the leadership attributes that we're going to need to cultivate further. I mean, tell me about the technology. What do you see that we are going to need in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think it's going to be interesting to see what we do in terms of like quantum computing, right? In terms of the processing speed of all of the information that we're coming. Again, how that will apply to AI, and the use of just analytics, like all of this. We're in a really interesting time, right? And the reason why I say this is that if we are producing more data each day exponentially than what we have the previous day, or the previous week, or the previous month, our ability to then respond to it, analyze it, create, and make that data useful in some form or fashion is only going to increase. Go back to this example. When the internet was basically created, and I'll say broadly available, right? Whether you had to have an access point, and so in the U.S., a good bit of that access point was America Online, right? And so you go to America Online, and they have this portal. Then we built out from that, right? In terms of thinking about, well, how do you actually really find all of this information? Search became critical. I mean, search has been a critical component for the last two decades. Now, as we think about this, as we move forward, the amount of information that's being developed, the amount of information that's being stored that will need to be analyzed, so that we can address really big, global, systemic, societal-like issues, right? Whether you're looking at climate or weather patterns, or whether you're looking at how to more efficiently, operate, moving transit systems that are being driven by autonomous vehicles, or figuring out how to optimize machine manufacturing and processing and supply chain. All of these are going to be really, really critical. All of them are critical now. And so we're going to need more data. We're going to need to understand, we're going to need computational power so that we can actually really fully maximize that. We look at energy transition and energy 2.0, like what does that mean? How do we leverage? Technology is going to play a key role for us to better utilize any type of energy source that we have, whether it's thinking about battery storage or whether it's thinking about transmission or what have you. Computational power is going to play a key role for us.
And tying it back to the conversations we just had, the diversity of thought and perspectives on what do you do with that data. If we don't have that black or brown voice in the room to be able to tell us as we're going through this quantum computing, hey, have we thought about it from this perspective? What are we doing with this information? How are we organizing it? We're going to be repeating the mistakes from our past. So again, the initiative that you have is critically important because not only is it, I mean, it's not just about inclusion, it's about good business practices and making sure that we're prepared in the future. Again, not repeating the mistakes from our past, but making sure that we are building something that's equitable for all and moving everyone forward.
Yeah, and I love what you said. I mean, good business practices should be inclusive, right? Because you're including a market, you're including a voice, you're including a perspective that quite frankly you might not have had at the table. Now that you have it at the table, now you have an additional market to go after. Now you have an additional technology to deploy or implement. Now you have a broader, ecosystem that you can help build, create, and go to market with. There's only upside, right? Yeah. And so from this standpoint, I see it not as a D&I issue, not as a CSR issue, not as an ESG issue per se. I see it really as a critical piece to any business strategy to ensure that you are capitalizing on every area of the market that you can.
30-second answers. All right, question number 1, your favorite brand or most iconic brand from your lifetime?
Bluebell ice cream. It's the best ice cream in the country.
Nice, and being from the South, I can see why.
Oh, yeah, all day. Bluebell, if you see this, I'm here for it.
All right. If you had to be in one place for the rest of your life, would it be space or would it be a tropical island?
Tropical island. Talk to a lot of astronauts. They enjoy space for about 6 months. They're good. I think I'd take a tropical island.
Yep. All right.
I would like to go to space, but I would take a tropical island.
If you had to be there for the rest of your life, I can see why. Absolutely. We need that vitamin D. All right. Star Trek or Star Wars? Why?
Oh man. Star Trek or Star Wars? That is a tough question. I think Star Wars. And the reason why I say Star Wars is because, and in fact, true story, I actually collect a lot of Star Wars stuff. Right. I have a ton of Star Wars stuff. But I think it was just an iconic film. It was groundbreaking. The original 3 that were released were, I believe, the best. And it just spawned so many other kind of areas, right? So it created a new way to really shoot and develop film that hadn't been done before. The models that were used, it was groundbreaking. It was very, very innovative. And it's a really good story. It's a classic story of good versus evil, like all the classic elements that need to make a really good story were there, just in a galaxy far, far away.
Always grateful for the time I get to spend with you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Paul. Looking forward to catching up again soon. And thank you for the invite to join you here today.